Here in the Philippines, when you think of a full-size American pickup truck, the first image that comes to mind is the Ford F-150. I mean, you can't really blame us because that American truck has had a longer history here in the Philippines. The thing is, the F-150 is not the only available American full-size pickup truck in the country. In this video, we get to check out and drive the full-size truck offering from RAM, the RAM 1500 Rebel. Let's do this. Hello guys, I'm Reagan and welcome back to another truck review. If you're new to my channel, I want you to click that subscribe button for your regular dose of Philippine automotive content. If you're my subscriber already, well, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. But first, click that like button. Also, special thanks to Ram Alabang for providing the Ram 1500 Rebel to do this review. If you are within the area and you need a Ram, or a Dodge, or a Jeep, well, head on down here and check them out. For any inquiries, you may also contact the person in my pinned comment below. The Ram 1500 Rebel is the rugged and sporty variant of the local Ram lineup, slotting in below the Laramie and the rabid and dangerous TRX. It's a capable off-roader, yet it's slightly more manageable to drive around city streets than the larger TRX sibling. Now the good news here, guys, is the price. You see, the 1500 Rebel is only half the price of the fire-breathing TRX. This 1500 Rebel has a retail price of 4,390,000 Philippine pesos, which, if you consider it, is a good value because this Rebel has been given the Truck of the Year award by Motor Trend. At first glance, the Rebel is one intimidating truck. Now you can see why the pricier RAM TRX is based off the Rebel, because this truck by itself is already badass as it is. Now the Rebel gets a performance aluminum hood right here which helps to save weight, but this hood comes with a pair of fake hood vents on the side. Now the Rebel also gets that grimacing Ram front grille here, which I also saw in the TRX, but the Ram logo is a solid logo instead of the pass-through logo that can be found in the larger and fire-breathing sibling. It's also a little bit narrower than the TRX, but guys, the Rebel is still one huge mofo. This can easily win in a stare-down contest against, let's say, Ford F-150s and Toyota Land Cruisers. And in case that stare-down contest becomes physical, well, the Rebel is equipped with a set of steel front bumpers and a pair of steel recovery hooks, which will surely leave a mark. Not that I'm recommending a bumper car fight with this Ram Rebel, because, guys, unless you drive a tank, well, you'll definitely lose. Here on the side, you can easily see that the Rebel is one of the longest and largest passenger vehicles that you can fit in your garage. In fact, I'm not recommending that you drive this thing purely around the city because of its size, and it will look like you're trying to overcompensate for something. Now, the Rebel is also equipped with a bunch of Mopar goodies here, from this Rebel decal found here on the side of the truck bed to this Mopar stepboard, and of course we get this really cool Ram box here on both sides of the truck bed. You see, the Ram box is a lockable storage compartment here that is long enough and deep enough to even house a pair of shotguns in case you're preparing for a zombie apocalypse. Now the Rebel is also lifted by 1 inch over a standard 1500 truck because it gets a good bunch of performance off-road goodies here. We get 18-inch alloy wheels that are wrapped in 275/70 all-terrain tires. Now of course, braking duties are handled by disc brakes on all 4 corners, and the Rebel also gets a set of Bilstein performance dampers for those off-roading duties. In fact guys, the lower control arm up front is also made of aluminum to help it save weight, and when it comes to the ground clearance of this thing, well, it's a healthy 9 inches, which is already expected from a serious off-roader. The Ram Rebel gets a set of LED taillights here, plus a pretty nifty bed step found here on the left side of the truck. You see, all you need to do is kick out this thing here, and you now have a convenient bed step to get in and out of your truck bed. Now the Rebel also has an assisted liftgate here, and once you pop this thing open, you'll see that it has a pretty cool cargo management system here, which most of the other pickup trucks in the market can take a page from. You see, we have a divider here in the truck bed which you can adjust so that your cargo won't be sliding all over the place. Now the Rebel also comes with a power opening, well, rear glass window there, which is also pretty cool. Now when it comes to the maximum towing and payload capacities of this thing, well, the maximum payload of the Rebel is almost 800 kilograms, which is good enough for a pair of sport bikes. And when it comes to the maximum towing capability, well, it's one of the class leaders at 5,100 kilograms. And we kick this to close it. There you go. Now guys, the Rebel also comes with a pair of dual exhaust pipes here, which I'm pretty sure you all want to hear, so here's a sound bite. Now that, my friends, is the sound of a proper American truck. The Ram Rebel's exhaust note sounds glorious because we have a full-bodied V8 engine underneath the hood. None of that sissy face, eco-friendly small displacement engines with tiny turbos on it. No siree. Now what we have here is a chest-thumping 5.7-liter V8 Hemi that can put out 395 horsepower and 556 Newton meters of torque. Now all of that power can be sent to all 4 wheels via an 8-speed automatic transmission. Now guys, despite its size, well, because we have this V8 Hemi underneath the hood, well, this Ram Rebel can still outrun any pickup truck in the country today. Well, except for the TRX. The Ram Rebel holds the distinction as having one of the plushest cabins that you can ever find in a sporty, full-size American pickup truck. I mean, I thought that the Ford F-150 diesel's cabin was plush, but guys, you gotta check this baby out. I mean, we've got a ton of leather appointments here, starting off from the leather seats that also have a heating function. Yeah, granted, it's not really going to be used much here in the Philippines, but the seats also come with this Rebel stitching found here on the side. That's pretty cool, guys. Now, both of these seats also come with power adjustments, and I love the fact that the pedal box here also has a power adjustability, which is a bit of good news, especially for shorter drivers like myself. Now when you look at the steering wheel, we get a leather-wrapped steering wheel here with contrast red stitching, and the steering wheel also has a heating function. Again guys, it's something that you probably wouldn't be using here in the Philippines unless you live in the mountain province. Now the steering wheel has a good bunch of buttons here. We have buttons for hands-free connectivity and standard cruise control, but we also have buttons found at the back end or the back side of the steering wheel for audio control like volume and going on to the next preset station. Now of course the wheel also adjusts for tilt, and it also telescopes, which is pretty expected in these full-size American pickup trucks. Now, when it comes to safety, guys, well, the Ram Rebel also has you covered because as you can see on your screen, you've got a good bunch of safety features found here. Now, when you move over to your instrument gauge cluster, well, this is a typical RAM gauge cluster here. I love that they put that Rebel badge right there and that really gorgeous copper-looking material surrounding your tachometer and speedometer. And we also have a 7-inch colored multi-information display in the middle for the vital vehicle information. Now, when you move over to the infotainment system of this thing, well, this is not really an infotainment system, guys, but really more of a command center because this is a 12-inch touchscreen command center that has practically all of the vehicle's controls. Well, we do get here like Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. We have the image of a reverse camera, which is a bit of a bummer, guys, because this thing is the size of a building. So yeah, I would have wanted to get a 360-degree view camera here because you need all the help you can get to maneuver this behemoth. But granted, guys, at least we have front and rear parking sensors, which will help you, well, park this thing. Now, a good thing here also, guys, is despite that nice and nifty 12-inch touchscreen there, we do have physical buttons and knobs here for the most basic controls for your climate control and for your infotainment, your audio controls. Now, we also have here a lot of information about your four-wheel drive capabilities and a lot of other vital vehicle information that you need to monitor, like the temperatures, the coolants, and all that stuff. Now, another noticeable feature of the Ram Rebel is, well, we don't really get an actual shift lever here, but rather we get a shift knob, and that knob is located right here in between the steering wheel and the infotainment screen. Now, this is a bit of a weird position for me, guys, because I feel it's not too intuitive, but here's the thing, guys. After a few minutes of using this thing, well, I kind of got used to it. Now, I'm kind of weirded out that we don't really get like manual mode here. We don't have paddle shifters. We don't have manual mode, but yeah, this thing is a four-wheel drive. It has 4 low, 4 high. Yeah, so if you need to like control your speed, it can easily do it. Speaking of four-wheel drive modes, we do have your buttons here for four-wheel drive modes beside that shift knob. It's an actual knob. Now, because of the position of the shift knob here, well, that frees up a lot of space here on your center tunnel. We have a wide expanse of space here, and we have a big cubby, a huge cubby here, where you can fit a watermelon. We also have here some nice slots for your smartphone, and we also have a pair of cup holders here, which I will subject to my clean canteen test. So yeah, the Ram Rebel is an American truck, so I'm sure this will pass. Yeah, it's a bit snug, surprisingly, but it did pass my clean canteen. And if ever you're wondering, this is a 600 ml clean canteen flask. Now, the good thing about the Ram Rebel is we also get a good bunch of storage bins here. We do get a dual glove boxes here, as a typical of any full-size American pickup truck. We also have cubbies found here on the side of the center tunnel. Of course, you have cubbies on your door bins, and we have a massive center armrest here, which, as I mentioned, is large enough to house even a basketball. I mean, it's that big, guys. It's really huge. So yeah, now when it comes to the materials that they use here, as I mentioned, plush, guys, super plush. We get stitched leather on the dashboard, stitched leather on the door cards. We got this really fancy red inserts on your door cards, and I love that they put in this red metallic trim all over the dashboard, around the AC vents and all that, even around the steering wheel, which gives it a nice and premium and sporty look to it without really going overboard. Before we get into the back seat of the Ram Rebel, well, I did mention that we get a good bunch of storage bins found in front. Well, the same can be said here in the back seat. See, just like any regular pickup truck, the back seats can split fold 60/40, which reveals this space here, this storage bin, which is like large enough to house a rocket launcher. Now, aside from that, We also have a pair of storage bins that's mounted on the floor, and it's deep enough, it's large and deep enough to hide like a 45 caliber Kimber 1911 pistol. Now, pardon my references towards guns and rocket launchers and stuff like that, but, well, the sheer size and badassery, it's not even a term, of this Ram Rebel makes me think of, you know, guns and military stuff and zombies and Texas. Now, the good thing here, guys, is we do have this grab handle here on the B pillar, so it's easy to climb in, especially for shorter people like myself. Now that we're inside the backseat, you'll see that this place is humongous. See, this is my driving position here. As you can see, I'm seated back, as you can see, and I'm trying to reach the seat back of the driver's seat, and I can't. I can't reach it. It's that far away. In fact, I could even sit like this, and yeah, I wouldn't even touch the knees of the person sitting in the middle. This Ram Rebel is a full-size American pickup truck, so yes, size is to be expected already. 3 full-size Americans can comfortably sit here at the back. 6 to 7 full-size Asians can also fit here. Now, when it comes to the toys here at the back seat, well, we do get a good bunch. We get a couple of rear AC vents here, a couple of cup holders, charging ports, USB-C, USB-A, and even a home power outlet right there. And we even have a center armrest here with 2 more cup holders. And if you look up the ceiling, we have here 2 Alpine speakers out of the 9 speaker setup that's found here inside the Ram Rebel. Oh yeah, and speaking of sound system, well, it's not only a 9 speaker sound setup, but it also has an amplifier, which I found underneath the driver's seat. Alright guys, so we are now driving the Ram 1500 Rebel, and first up, visibility. Well, first guys, you know that you are driving a humongous truck, because this thing, although it's big and it's high, well, it also has a huge bulging hood in front of me. So yeah, I know that I'm driving a freaking big ass truck. Now, the windshield in front is not really that big. So yeah, in terms of forward visibility, it's decent, it's okay, but it doesn't feel like you're driving a bus. Now, the windows on the side though are large, so at least we have that. But it doesn't mean that the forward visibility of this thing is going to be a challenge. It's actually not. You just have to get used to that big and bulging hood right there in front of you, and you have to make sure that you know where that hood ends whenever you're driving this thing, so that yeah, you won't get into a fender bender. Now, when it comes to the steering feel of this truck, well, it has surprisingly a light steering feel. Now, it's not as light as some of its rivals, which already borders arcade game levels, but this Rebel steering feel is decently tuned. Now, granted, this is just a short test drive, so, but initial impressions that I have with this thing is, well, it's really good. I love the feedback that I'm getting from the wheel. When we're going over these rutted speed bumps here in this parking area, yeah, you do get a feel of all the imperfections. See? You're feeling it on the steering wheel, which gives you that sort of connection that other like electric power assist systems will not give you. Now, I'm happy that it's quite light, guys, because I couldn't imagine if this thing had a heavy steering feel. I couldn't imagine that kind of arm fatigue that you're gonna get when you drive this, especially on a long drive. Now, when it comes to the acceleration feel of this thing, well, granted, this is just a short test drive within the parking facility of Ram Alabang, guys. But yeah, quick short bursts here, and I could really feel that we are driving a V8 powered truck. Response is instant. See, none of that eco lag that you normally associate with like dual clutch transmissions and smaller displacement turbocharged engines. This thing has a good and hurried acceleration response to it, and I would love to take this out on the highway and truly feel all that Hemi power that this V8 engine can give. Now the transmission is also pretty smooth. Now granted, I am just in first and second gear going around this area, so yeah, at least there's no jerkiness. So that's one of the bigger advantages of staying with a traditional automatic transmission rather than going dual clutch or or heaven forbid a CVT transmission. But yeah, transmission, the automatic 8-speed transmission of this thing is pretty smooth. I love it. And yeah, it makes for a pretty decent and comfortable drive. Now when it comes to the cabin comfort and the NVH of this thing, well, I could really feel that this thing is heavily insulated. I couldn't hear anything from outside. And even if we have a V8 engine under the hood, and if I do a quick spurt of acceleration here, guys, I can't even hear the engine. Now maybe I need to take this out on an open highway to really hear that V8 rumble. But as it is, when it comes to the noise level here inside, well, it is as quiet as a church. Goodness, guys. The levels of noise suppression that we have here inside this cabin is pretty phenomenal. And I love that Ram did that with this Rebel because, yeah, you may look badass outside, but you want to have that premium and comfortable drive every time you hop inside this Ram Rebel. Overall, guys, well, how does this Ram 1500 Rebel make me feel? Well, knowing that I am piloting such a huge vehicle, well, it makes all of the other vehicles around me look so tiny. In fact, it even makes other mid-size pickup trucks like the Ranger Raptor look tiny. This is one truly intimidating truck. And I love that despite the intimidation, despite the size, it is not so difficult to drive it because, well, Ram gave us all of the creature comforts, that premium NVH levels inside this cabin. So yeah, it may look like a brute, but it doesn't feel like you're driving a brute. The Ram 1500 Rebel may be too large to drive around inner city streets, but it's perfectly at home on the wide open highways and the provincial roads. It's a purpose-built vehicle meant to take on the gnarliest terrain while keeping its passengers comfortable. True, it's not really the cheapest full-size pickup truck available in the market, nor is that V8 Hemi engine the most fuel efficient. But if you want a vehicle that has that sheer presence, power, and that premium cabin and that premium ride, well then, you can't go wrong with the Ram 1500 Rebel. Thanks for watching.